Okay, folks, what we have here is this. This is the pump shaft here that it's the input drive here. So, of course, this is your spline end that goes into the pump. There's a cup seal that sits here, and there's literally a recessed groove in here that you're supposed to have one of these number 90 high pressure hydraulic O-rings in here. Number 70 would not cut it. This is a bit, this turns inside the pump body, so this O-ring here is actually what's, this is a low pressure side of the pump here. There isn't a whole lot of pressure on this here. There's a lot of oil volume but not a lot of pressure, and it's like one of these mushroomed cup seals. This O-ring takes the brunt of the wear over here. It rides in the body of the, when it's in the home position or when the shaft is sitting where it's supposed to be, when this is coupled up to the crankshaft of the tractor. This O-ring here, it goes in this groove in this, you got the seal, a cup seal, and then you have this O-ring that slips over the outer part of the seal here, and this takes all the wear on the body here. This is the old one that I took off. It's you can't really see it on the camera, but the outer third of the edge of it is literally worn flat from abrasion from rubbing on the pump body for several years. I don't know if it was ever taken apart or this is the original or what. I have no idea. I went looking for. Unfortunately, this isn't included in the O-ring and seal kit there that I got. Think I could find one, or at least at the farm supply places where I go in the town or the city that I do business at. I found an O-ring close. It's a number 90. It's the difference between number 70 and number 90 O-rings is number 70s are the common standard. You find at every automotive supply house. In O-ring kits or whatever, if you buy whatever online and stuff, unless you specifically ask for a number 90, which is a high pressure, a little more abrasion resistant. It's a tougher, made of a different compound, or at least a better additives in the compound. This one is close, but it's a little bit fatter. Now, it's also slightly smaller internally. Externally, it's roughly the same. Yeah, it's the same. Internally, it's just a hair smaller because it's a bit fatter than this one. I don't know if I want to try even attempting putting this on, and if I do, am I going to be able to get this back in the pump? Because sometimes something, just the difference of a little bit fatter O-ring will make all the difference in the world if you can get it on over the end of the shaft. The problem here is I got to get it over this, stretch it and get it over this spline and bring this this cup seal. Luckily slides up to the edge of it here, so you can you got to stretch it over and then roll it over on into this groove here. I mean, these will give a little bit, but this is pretty stiff, being a number 90 O-ring. It's not like a number 70. They're pretty flexible and stretchable. You can get them in there, but the problem is being that it won't take the wear for very long. And I know this in hydraulic applications, I might get away with it for one season, maybe two, and then it'll slowly start leaking again. This is just to stop a low pressure volume. I have some other ones. Unfortunately, I think they're number 70. I have one that's exactly the right size of this, but hang on here. I'll bring you guys back in a second. I'm going to search through my O-ring collection here, and I'll make a decision then. Okay, folks. Well, I managed to work this new O-ring on here. I found one in my O-ring collection here. It is an actual number 90 stiff rubber, and let me tell you, I had to really work at it to get it on here. It was just ever so slightly, I don't know, whatever, a few thousandths of an inch Diameter wise, it was exactly the same as the other one. The thickness, I mean, inside diameter was just a tad smaller, and man alive did I ever work to get that on here. So yeah, luckily nothing is damaged here. The main cup seal is fine. We got this O-ring on here. Seems to have good tension. I think we'll be okay. Anyways, these had a goofy setup here in the front here, right where it sort of semi-recesses right in front of this cup seal, or behind it, sort of as a backer. They have like a felt wrap that goes around here, and it's kind of a goofy. It's a secondary. You got your outer seal here that has got a felt on it that keeps the dirt out, and then they have an inner felt. It's just a piece of, looks like a piece of boot liner that's cut and wrapped around it here, single ply. So I don't know. I'll try and get that back in there, and then I got to put a little bit of lubricant on here and slip this whole assembly in the pump. Your mounting bolts to the crankshaft, there's 4 of them in these rubber torsion. Here, I'll show you. They got these steel center bushing with a rubber outer casing, and it has another steel outer bushing in it. You tap them into this flange drive here. So yeah, quite the interesting setup. This is so that you put your bolts in from the back side in like this before you slip this into the pump. If you got to change your fan belts, what you do is you undo these four bolts and then slide it back into the pump just ever so slightly, and you have just a very thin. You got to fight to get your fan belt. You got to have the exact automotive, thin width belt to get in here. You can't just use any common A belt off a farm shelf. That crap won't work with this. So you got to make sure you have an actual automotive V belt or whatever that fits, and you can just slip it in between so you can change out your belts if you have to. This, I figured, while I had the pump out of the tractor and we're doing the service on this, go ahead and change the belts. Well, that turned into a 2-day saga of chasing around all over, and I finally had to order. And even though it was a common size with how most automotive parts stores work nowadays, nobody has nothing in stock and everything's special order, even stuff that should just be common on the wall stuff. But anyways, okay, I'll try and get this in the pump and back with you here in a second. Okay, folks. Well, I didn't get it on film of me getting it back in here. I mean, it's pretty basic. I mean, it's just slip it in, line the splines on the end of the drive, little drive shaft here, and then insert it into the internal spline for the pump drive. So you got to make sure you don't force your cup seal and all that there, and just ease it in and put a little bit of lubricant on it and slip it in. What's interesting on these, they've got a recess machined in the front of the pump body here in 4 spots, so that when these bolts here are like you see these mounting bolts here, you can actually slip them back in all the way, so that you gain extra clearance when you're dropping your pump back in or lifting your pump. I chose to lift it up out of the tractor by removing the radiator. Technically, how you're supposed to do these on those Massey tractors is you're supposed to drop the whole your front axle cradle out of the way, and then you can use a special jacking tool and lower the pump down, drop it down to the ground, and take it out. But I decided to go up and out with it instead. Kind of half unbolted the front casting and rolled the tractor ahead just maybe 3/4 of an inch, just ever so slightly, still resting on the bolts acting as dowel pins, and then it gave me enough clearance that we could, like I say, I got my brother came over and gave me a hand, and we managed to get it all apart and get the pump out. Now I'll get somebody, either him or one of the other neighbors, to come and help me, and we'll lift this pump back in, and then I can start bolting everything back up and get this ready to go. While I got it out here, I'm also going to, these threads here, I cleaned everything up. I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize, that silver grade anti-seize stuff on here, so that way you don't have to fight with it or it won't rust or seize in there. So Okay folks, well, I got this all best I could, got all the crud and crap scraped out of here. You can see this is where the pump mounts up here into the front of the crankshaft here. There, in the pulley there, they got a 4-bolt flange mount there that pump drive bolts into. So I'm gonna get my fan belts hung on here, and then we're gonna get at it here, and I'll bring you guys back in a second. Okay, let's see if we can get this in here. Should have help for this, but whenever you need help, of course, nobody's around to help. So, see if we can get this heavy pig in here. Oh, this thing is no joke. This is no joke. This is heavy. If I drop this, I'm going to be pissed at myself. You need an overhead crane to do this kind of stuff. Just about. A little more hop if I can get it. Do not want that shaft falling out, because they do have a tendency, or known to do that. Oh man, one more hop. If I can get it to the frame, then from there I can slowly slide it in. Make sure I got a good foothold here. There we go. Okay. And then see if we can get it one more. Almost. Oh. There we have it. It's in. Oh. Hard on the old back. There we go. Oh. These pumps are, they're no joke. That's, they're literally a solid chunk of casting, you know, heavy piece of casting, and then all the gears and pistons and everything in there, and yeah, that's it's a heavy, over 100 pounds there. It doesn't look like it, but it's a heavy chunk of metal. I think there's something like 120 pounds or 112 pounds, I forget, but I know it's over 100 pounds anyways, so not a horrible whatever weight to lift, but it's just a dead weight, and it's round like a ball, and it's hard to hang on to. There's nothing hardly on it to grab onto. So anyways, this will be continued tomorrow. I'm gonna get the 4 mounting bolts, get it up in there and get the 4 mounting bolts in and get them torqued down, and then I'll get my the drive coupler mounted back up, and then get my hydraulic hoses and lines and start getting everything back in here. Then once I get the hydraulic lines bolted back up, then I got to get my radiator back in, and then we got to start with all that, putting everything back together here. So got a new set of fan belts here that I just put on here off camera here before I dropped the pump in here a few minutes ago. So anyways, okay folks, again, much appreciated you stopping by and checking out the video, and we'll see you all on the next one.